So, we're just going to discuss about Bartaman Bharat of Swami Vivekananda. Bartaman Bharat is a monograph. Monograph here refers to a thesis by Swami Vivekananda. Actually, what did Swami Vivekananda want to say in his Bartaman Bharat? You must know it. Bartaman Bharat, it is also just considered in English as present day India or modern India. Present India also you can just call it, you can just write in your answer script that is present India too. Now what did Swami Vivekananda say in his Bartaman Bharat? The Bartaman Bharat, it was just written on giving the strengthening of the common people or the poor people of the society. You know children that the Indian society got divided into 4 different castes or varnas since the later Vedic period of India, and that are as follows: Brahmin, Kshatriya, Vaishyas and Shudras. The Shudras were the most humiliated and downtrodden class of the society, and they did not have such kind of prestige or the vanity with them since the very beginning. So that's why now here the time has just appeared, and Swami Vivekananda, he want to just give the message to all the Indian peoples that there should not have any kind of caste discrimination. There should not have any kind of discrimination amongst the Indians or the peoples of India. There will be one unity, there will be one caste that will prevail in India, that will be called humanity. Humanity will be just worshipped since then. So what did he tell in his Bartaman Bharat? He told that he could predict in future the Shudras or the common peoples of the society or the downtrodden or the most humiliated class of the society, they will just rule over the entire country. For that reason, he had just given an awesome explanation. And what was the explanation? He told that Vivekananda predicts forming a state in which the knowledge of the priest, the culture of the military, and the distributive spirit of the Vaishyas or the commercial, and the ideal of equality of the lowest or the last laborers are brought into harmony. So if we just consider the 4 different tasks of the different 4 caste peoples, such as the Brahmins they do just worship. The Kshatriyas, they were responsible to just protect the countries and their countrymen. Vaishyas, they were just associated with different types of activities like doing trade, commerce, business, etc. And Shudras, they will just bring the unity, as because they had to just work very hard for their livelihood. They could just do work for giving the better lifestyle of the upper 3 class peoples, but this should not be just going on, as because Swami Vivekananda, he clearly just predicted that without having the active participation of the common peoples or the Shudras, India cannot become free. India cannot just achieve independence from the clutches of the British government. So they must be given the priority, just like the Brahmin, just like the Kshatriyas. So by just writing this kind of novel, this kind of writing, Swami Vivekananda, he wanted to just eradicate all the caste distinctions from the society. In Bengali, there is also a very famous quote that was just quoted by Swami Vivekananda: Bharater Samosto Oggo Doridro Dukhi Muchi Mathor Shokole Amar Bhai. He considered that all the common people of the society, all the Shudras, especially quote unquote Shudras of the society, they must give the same priority, just like the Kshatriyas and the Brahmins. They should not have any kind of discrimination. Otherwise, India will just not achieve independence from the hands of the British government. In this way, he wanted to just spread out the national feeling or the national awakening amongst the Indians. Now, we are just moving forward. Our next subtopic, that is Gora of Rabindranath Tagore. Most of you just know that what is the Bengali meaning of Gora. In Bengali, Gora means Rakhonshil. Rakhonshil, sometimes we can just call it that orthodox, but it can be also termed as hypocrite also, as because Gora, Rakhonshil means a person who just believes the age-old tradition and the age-old things, who is having superstitions in his mind, who is not beyond superstition. At the time, the person can be termed as Gora. Okay, here a boy, Here is a story about this novel Gora. Gora is the largest and the most complex of 12 novels composed by Rabindranath Tagore. It is the largest novel ever, and where a person, a boy, he once came to know that he was not an Indian. For the first time, he just knew about himself that he was an Indian, as because from his childhood he had just come to know that he was an Indian. But one day he had just explored the fact, he had just discovered whenever his mother and father, means when his parents, they were just murmuring inside a room, he standing in just a bit away from there, he had just come to know that he was not an Indian and he was not the son of his parents. So he was at the time very much upset, as because his father and mother, they were just Irish, they were from England. So whenever he just came to know, the fact is very bitter, as because the truth is very bitter every time. Now at the time he could not just realize, as because he started to just think that he was a Hindu, but finally when he just came to know that his father and mother, they were not Hindus at all, they belonged from a different religion, they were from different caste, they were from Christians. So at the time he could not just realize, he could not just think by his mind that what to do right now, whether should we change my religion, whether should I just convert my religion from Hinduism to the Christianity, or I should just remain in the manifold or the fourfold of this my own religion, means in Hinduism only. He could not just decide at the time. He was very much upset. But finally, when the thinkings, it just came in his mind that I have been just living, I had started living in India, and I could think that India is my motherland. Here the priority on the basis of mother, it was just given to Mother India, means Mother India. At the time it was considered as a goddess, and he could not just and he was not a very passionate at the time. He was not he did not hesitate to say that Mother India should just get the most importance to me. So that's why beyond his caste, his religion, his community, everything, he went up, he jumped up, and he said that yes, Mother India. And as because I have been just living in India, I have been just fed up by Mother India. So that's why there will be no caste, there will be no caste distinction, communalism, etc. Mother India, and I will just devote myself for my country, and obviously that too Mother India. The truth that dawned upon Gora a century ago, in the ultimate realization that strikes Gora, it is obvious that in the exultant, that is triumphant utterance of Gora, Rabindranath himself has spoken. Actually, whenever the writers or the authors or the poet, they just write something, they just portray something, it's their own imagination. And imagination, sometimes when you just write a story, a poem, everything, whenever we just compose a song, everything, there is a focal point that should be just that should just come from our lives also. Suppose I have just written a drama, I have just composed a song where you will just come to know my life, as because surely there will be a deep impression in my writing. So Rabindranath himself, he had just told this kind of story, but at the back, at the back of this story, he himself had just told this story to all. The political objective of the Gora has been the partition of Bengal. Actually, partition of Bengal, this became very much that created a very political turmoil in the year of 1905. You all know that in the year of 1905, it was on 16th of October, Bengal was divided into two different parts, East Bengal and West Bengal at the time, and present East Bengal is Bangladesh and West Bengal is here. So Lord Curzon, he was the then Governor General or the Viceroy General of India, and he had just played a very crucial role, a vital role for dividing Bengal. Especially he wanted to just destroy the unity amongst the Hindus and Muslims, so to just give a strength to all the Hindus and Muslims, so that they could just fight against the British oppression and the suppression. in a different way. That's why Gora means this novel was very prominent. This was just written, and it is this that makes the background so that the Indian peoples, especially those who were having different caste identity, who were having different caste, religion apart from Hindus, they could think that this is not the country only for the Hindus, as because India is a secular country and we are having the same right to just live over there. But before that, we have to think that India is our country. India is just like our mother, and we must just worship her. If we see that in front of me someone is just humiliating my mother, what can I do? As because I will just not means shut up means my face. I will just simply vocal, I will just raise my voice. So exactly we have to just do, we have to just react against the British government also, because they have just put their pressure upon us, and they have just given they just put a stubborn face to us. So that's why this is a responsibility being an Indian to just fight against the British government. Next we'll just read about Bharatmata painting of Gaganendranath Tagore. This is very important, children. The Gaganendranath Tagore's painting Bharatmata, lots of confusions make from this passage, as because few says that Bharatmata, it was a portraiture, it was a portrait of Bankim Chandra Chattopadhyay, and some say that no, it is not the portraiture of Bankim Chandra Chattopadhyay. Instead, it will be the portrait of Gaganendranath Tagore. Actually, literally, the answer will be Gaganendranath Tagore. Gaganendranath Tagore, he had just portrayed this picture, the famous picture of Bharatmata. I want to just show you the picture here so that you can just understand that what was the picture. This is the picture. This picture became very famous, as because the picture is not only a picture or an image, it was more than that. Okay, the first and foremost thing is that the concept of Bharatmata, it was first time just given by Bankim Chandra Chattopadhyay in his novel Anandamod, but later on the task was given to Gaganendranath Tagore, and Gaganendranath Tagore, he had just portrayed this painting. This painting was just painted in a Japanese style. Now how could we say that the painting was just painted or portrayed as a Japanese style? Actually, what has happened, Gaganendranath Tagore, he was also from the family, same family of Rabindranath Tagore. So that's why Jorashako Tagore family of Kolkata or Calcutta at the time, most importantly, that was very famous all over the country. A Japanese painter whose name is Yokohama Taikan. I'm just going to take the name once again, Yokohama Taikan. Yoko, Y-O-K-O-H-A-M-A, Yokohama Taikan. He had just come from Japan, and he was associated with Tagore's family, as because he loved to go over there to just know the philosophy of Rabindranath Tagore, Gaganendranath Tagore, Rabindranath's wife Mrinalini Devi. So that's why he was having a basic or a routine visit over there. So whenever he went just there, and he had just given the idea of Gaganendranath Tagore, most importantly Gaganendranath Tagore, he had just learned how to just write the to do the watercolor. This was just composed on the watercolor. Those who are just associated with painting, they just must know that what is water painting or the watercolor. By using the watercolor or the water painting, Gaganendranath Tagore, finally he had just composed, he had just portrayed the famous painting of Bharatmata. Children, don't forget that Bharatmata painting, it became prominent and the context on which the painting was just portrayed, that was the partition of Bengal, the anti-partition movement, as because in the year of 1905, 16th of October, I'm just telling this sentence so many times, as because this is very important for you. 16th of October 1905, Bengal was divided. Previously on 19th of July 1905, the same year, Lord Curzon, he had decided that Bengal will be divided, and finally that came to in effect in the year of 1905. It was on 16th of October Bengal was divided. For that reason, Gaganendranath Tagore, on that context, he had just portrayed this picture. Okay, you may see from this picture, I'm just showing this picture to you. You can see that total 4 hands are there for this painting Bharatmata. Bharatmata, she is having total 4 hands with her. In one hand she is just carrying, you can see that, a piece of cloth. In another hand she is just carrying what is that? Another hand she is just carrying what is just written over there. rosary, that is a string of beads used to just count prayers, and it means in Bengali we sometimes say it putir mala, to just count something. Those who are just means very religious fanatics, sometimes they just count like that. So this is rosary, indicating the spirituality, that Mother India is very spiritual. Swami Vivekananda also told that the Rabindranath Tagore, Swami Vivekananda, both they had told that the British should just earn spirituality from us, from our country, and instead they must just provide education, literature, scientific development, scientific skills, etc. to us. Okay, and indicating spirituality. And in other hand, she's having a piece of cloth. It means the khadi. Sometimes it may be just referred to as the Indian clothes, because the industrial revolution took place in England. So for that reason, England intentionally they were just selling all their potential goods to Indians, and Indians, they were just bound to just purchase all those goods, and especially the garments from the British, as because all those were very fancy and cheaply available. So that's why the Indian products, especially the khadi, was were under severe grip. So that's why, to just promote for promotion of the Indian khadi and the Indian clothes, a piece of paper was just given to her hand, so that she could just show that you must wear the Indian clothes, whether it is expensive or not, that doesn't matter, but you have to just wear it, as because it indicates the nationalism for you. And Mother Goddess, in her hand she holds some manuscripts also. She's also having a manuscript. It means that she's the lady of wisdom. She's having the wisdom. Obviously we all here, we have just learned something from our mother for the first time. So mother cannot be literate, she cannot be just unlettered, she is very literate. She has just shown the world to us, isn't it? So that's why she is having the wisdom. We must just know that Mother India, what she has just provided the education to us. And in another, a bundle of newly reaped corn sheep, that is agucho ফসল বা কিছু এরকম something type of that. It means that we have to just dependent on agriculture. India is an agro-based economy, so that's we have to just depend on that. We should not just look after every time the industrial growth, as because the industrial growth happens in the regular way. Only few people will be just benefited. It will be lucrative for them. So that's why we must think that agriculture should also be given the same priority, just like the industrial development or the industrial revolution. As in the farmers and the peasants, they are the sole thing for our Indian economy. That's why Mother Goddess is very divine, and you can just see just a hollow light means it's just coming from the back of her head, as because it's the symbol of the wisdom. It can be the symbol of the, what can I say, that hollow, it's a rays of light indicating her divinity, that she is very divine. Whenever means the gods and the goddess appear, this is said to have that when the gods and the goddess, they just appear in front of us, especially to a common person, you can see the hollow light is just going behind the head of that particular god or goddess, as because she or he is very divine. The divinity just comes through that. Okay, the last topic of our chapter today, that is critique of colonial society in Gaganendranath Tagore and Caricature. I told you that just watch the video full, so that you will just come to know that what is the meaning of caricature. Caricature in Bengali, this is termed as bango chitro. Sometimes we do just mockery, we just start mocking someone, and on that basis, if we just do draw any picture as a cartoon type, this is called caricature. Whereas cartoon and caricature, in some way, in some extent, these both are equal, but not particularly. It's partially similar. They are very close to each other. By drawing this kind of cartoons or caricature, Gaganendranath Tagore, he wanted to just reveal the common facts of the common society, as because how was the common people betrayed, denied, and humiliated by the upper class people, so the upper strata, elite group of the society. He wanted to just show and reveal, expose all these facts. So that's why he had just gone to just draw this kind of cartoons, and different type of pictures were also just drawn by him. The cartoons and the caricatures were just drawn by him. Whereas Gaganendranath Tagore, he had just portrayed different pictures. By portraying different type of pictures, he wanted to just spread out the national awakening amongst the Indians. Whereas Gaganendranath Tagore, he was a cartoonist, and he wanted to just show his feelings. He wanted to just give the impetus amongst the Indians through the different cartoons or the different caricatures, where so many caricatures, so many cartoons he had drawn. But in our syllabus we will just look after this picture. This is the picture, and whereas the picture is very relevant to us, but here we will just discuss that here is a picture. If you just discuss this picture, here you can see that a priest, he has been just sitting over there, and this is a what can I say, this is a spirit or something like that. A ghost is there, and the ghost is just instigating the Brahmin or the priest to just collect the money, to just exploit the common peoples. You can see the common peoples are there, and pressurized by the priest and the priestly class at the time. They had to just give, they had to just submit, they had to just surrender everything to the priest. The priestly class, they were very much superior at the time. They did not have such kind of scarcity of food, anything. They by worshipping the goddess, because they could just communicate according to them, they could just communicate with gods easily. So that's why the common peoples, they had to just submit everything, they had to just surrender everything to them. And whereas the common people, from where they will just collect all these things, the food grains and the food cuisines, everything, that was not the cup of tea of that priestly class. So in this way, the priestly class, they had just tormented, they had just exploited the common society or the Shudras. Now here we'll discuss about one of the most important caricatures of Gaganendranath Tagore. It was University Machine, where you can see that a university is there, and obviously the university, it was a joint venture of Indian as well as the British. So whenever the university, at the main gate, in front of the gate, two different persons are there. They have been just standing over there. One is the perhaps it was a Punjabi person, as because he was having a turban. He had just tied up a turban on his head. And number two, a person, he was also having a there, who is very suited and booted, means he was having a tie, long elastic neck, and all these things. He was very smart, it means he was a British, and they have been just standing over there. And exactly when the clock, it just strikes at 10 a.m. at the time, what has happened, all the peoples, all the children, they're just getting inside the university, and after a certain period, when they're just coming out from there, they have been just cracked inside. It means one would also notice the two figures of the silhouettes standing on two pillars. One of them appears to be an European costume, while the other one Indian turban. They're probably those among the founders of the universities, because this was a joint venture. I've already told you that the university was a joint venture, and whereas the Indians and the British, they were just doing in the business only, is because they're not having any intention to just make a literate to all the Indians. Especially they were reluctant to that, but they became quite enthusiastic to just give the education to all the Indians, so that the Indians could just serve for them, serve under them. Most importantly, they are no longer moving forces, but are now shadowed out. The crowd of the gate in the Bengali dress, the cartoon has an undercutting of sadness in spite of the satire. It was a satirical story, as because we had to just take the education from them. In some cases, we have just come to know that in Srirampur, in Hooghly also, few missionary schools and colleges were established, from where intentionally, deliberately, the Christian religion was just converted. It was just a process of confirming and just considering process that was to just confer Christianity to all the Indians, so that the Indians could just get a better life. I don't know whether it was done by the British, because the British, they wanted to see that all the world will be Christian at the same time. So that's why the Christian missionaries, they played a vital role in printing press also. In the next chapter, in chapter number 5, we also discuss there in a great detail that what has happened. But still, the university machine, from where you have just come to know that we did not have such kind of choice with us, so that we could just read the Indian literature, Indian science, Indian scientific skills, Indian literature, Indian philosophy, grammar, mathematics, Aryabhatta, Barahamihira, and lots of mathematicians and the scientists, they were there, but they did not get such kind of epithet, they did not get such kind of priority in the eyes of the British government, as because every time they were just very much forceful to just provide the British education only. They were very much dependent on the British education only, as because they did not have such kind of sympathy towards the Indian education. So from this caricature, Gaganendranath Tagore, he actually literally he wanted to just give a message to all the Indians that if you don't just set up the national institution or the vernacular education, if you just don't give strengthen up, if you don't just strengthen up to just set up all these things, anything can be happen. So that's why this was very important, and this factor also just clearly stated to us that university mission, not only university mission, lots of caricatures were just drawn by Gaganendranath Tagore. So in this way, Bankim Chandra Chattopadhyay in his novel Anandamot, Swami Vivekananda in his novel Bartaman, Bharat or Present India, Rabindranath Tagore in his famous novel, the longest or the largest novel ever, that is a Gora, or Rabindranath Tagore in his portraiture, that is Bharatmata, and finally the caricature of Gaganendranath Tagore also played a vital role in promoting the national harmony or the national awakening amongst the Indians. So today, up to this was our topics. If you're having any problem, if you're having any doubts, you may just write it in the comment section, or you can just make it, you can just call me. So we'll just come back with a new video. We'll just start chapter number 5 very soon, very shortly. Just stay tuned with us.